Welcome back everyone to Blender and Unreal Engine becoming a dungeon prop artist. Now let's come in and I've unwrapped this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it. So A, G, G, let's move it. So I'm going to move it here, down here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it much smaller like so. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, press G. I'm going to bring it down to there and then I'm going to press S and Y, squish it in, and then S. Bring it in a little bit more, G and X just to move it along the side, and then finally S, tiny bit more, holding the shift, just trying to get it placed like so. Alright, so I'm happy with that. The one thing I want to do is kind of bring it a little bit higher, like so. Okay, and there you go. You can see just how easy that was to actually do that. Alright, so I'm happy with that. Now the one thing I think I want is, maybe we want another one on here. So we could unwrap it and put another one of these on there. Actually, I don't think we'll overcomplicate this. What we'll do is we'll grab this now and we're going to go. We actually do need a seam on here. And the reason we need a seam on here is because we're trying to put these bits down in the bottom, or we could put them going up this part here. I think we'll do it that way. Let's try see if we can put them on here. So I'm going to grab this at the top. I want to press L. I want to press U, like that pack. Okay. U again. And another one for that, U, like map pack, okay. And that seems to be actually a bug. It doesn't seem to have worked on there. I'm just looking to see what the issues are. Let's try again. So U, let's try follow active quads, click OK. Yeah, and you can see there's actually an issue there. I'm not sure why that is. I'm just going to try unwrapping it. And I don't think I'm actually going to get away with that. Let's try turning it round a minute. So A, R, spin it round. And what I'm looking for is this part on here. So I'm looking to see if we can get this part in here. Now remember that we don't actually have this on the trim sheet. So if I come in and I click assign, now you can see that we've got that, but you can see the terrible bend that we're actually getting. That's not what I want at all. So let's press 1. Let's try a different way of unwrapping it. So I'm going to try cylinder projection instead, and then I'm just going to look what that looks like. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and bring it in. And now you can see that we're getting somewhere. So we can see that's looking much better like so. And now I'm going to just go around and have a look at that. And that is then a different way to actually unwrap that. All right, so you can see now though we've got a problem with this bottom bit. I'm actually, instead of putting the little edges on here, I'm going to come in and grab this going around here. So Alt, Shift and click, right click, mark scene. I'm going to make sure then that this part here, so this part, is actually part gold instead of the trim sheet, and then I'll come round and I'll mark a seam where my other one is, which if we go round we can see is here. So let's mark the seam here as well, and that's just to cover it, just in case. We don't want seams marked everywhere because then you can't really hide them if you do, if you can kind of see them. So right click, mark seam. Let's come in then, grab this one, L, U, and like that pack, okay. We're having some issues with that. I'm not sure why that is. Why are we having issues with that? Let's press Ctrl A, all transforms, right click, so origins geometry. And now let's come in again. So U. Okay, and now it's actually unwrapping. And the reason was that I didn't reset my transformations, and now it's actually unwrapping. So let's press U, follow active quads, click OK, and there we go. Now let's bring this down to this one here. Let's press the S button, like so, press G, and there we go. And now let's just zoom in a little bit. I'm just making sure that that's on. And then all I want to do now is press S and Y and make those much bigger. And then do I want them right in the bottom, or do I want them along this part here? So I can press G and Y, holding Shift again, and just move them all to there. And yeah, I think that looks absolutely fine. All right, so I'm really happy with that. Now let's think about doing the next one. So we can see we're going to have a different one here. So basically we could have this going down, or we could just have this mostly gold with just some gemstones. I think probably we'll do that because it'll just make it a little bit easier for us. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to click the down arrow. I'm going to put it on gold first of all, and then I'm going to grab it, A, U, Smart UV project, click OK, and then I'm just going to come in now and give these gemstones. So I'm going to come in to each of these. Now, sometimes if I select one or two of them, I can sometimes get away with selecting select similar and let's put in perimeter or something like that. And you can see it's selecting going all the way around. We don't have a problem, however, it's selected, some of the ones that we don't want, like the inside of here, for instance. But what I can do is I can actually come in and just take those off, and then come into the bottom using C and just middle mouse it just to take that off then. And there we go. All right, so I've still got all these selected. Now I can press Control plus, and finally then plus, down arrow, and we're looking for the red gemstones. Click assign, and there we go. That looks really, really nice. Now, let's actually bring in, I'm thinking, do I bring in this around the bottom? Yeah, we'll do it around the bottom here. So I'll grab this, and what we'll do actually, instead of doing it that way, we'll just grab it like this, right click, mark seam. I'm going to put the seam basically where the one is on here. So if I grab both of them, so shift click both of them, you can see the seam is around the back. So I'm going to put a seam here as well. Right click, mark seam. And now let's come in, and you can see that this is, it's just rendering, that's okay. All right, so let's grab this one, press L, and then press U, like map pack, click OK, and then U, and follow active quads, click OK. Now let's click plus, down arrow, and gold trim sheet, and then A, G, bring it into place, press the S button, make it much, much smaller, G, and then S and Y, like so, and I'm not assigned it, so I just need to click assign, and there we go. And now S and Y make it thinner, and then G and Y bring it down, like so, and there we go. All right, I'm really happy with both of these. These look really fantastic. Now let's come back to modeling, and what we'll discuss now is materials and textures. So the more materials and textures you have in your build, the more, basically, the bigger the build will actually be, and the more it will cost as regards rendering. Now, when we're using trim sheets and things like that, because we're using materials over and over and over again, it actually saves you a lot of time, and it actually makes things really optimized. So that's a really good thing about it. So try and keep your materials and textures down to a minimum, and try and use trim sheets or atlas textures, things like that, to keep that down. So in a bit, I'm going to be showing you what the atlases look like, and then you'll have an understanding not only of trim sheets and normal textures, but also of atlases. All right, for now then, let's go in and name these. So first of all, I'm going to click on one of them. I'm going to come over to the right-hand side, press the dot button. I'm going to name this goblets and rubies. And then I'm going to come to the next one. I'm just going to call this one goblet, like so. I'm going to call this necklace, so dot again, necklace, like so. I'm going to call this silver plate, like so, and then we'll go to diamond, and then opal, and then finally ruby, or sapphire, whatever you want to call it. I'm not even sure myself. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new collection. I'm going to call it treasure. Just need to find where this new collection's gone. There it is down at the bottom. So treasure. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of these with B. I'm going to press dot. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab any one of them, pull them down, and drop them in my treasure, like so. All right, that's those done. Now let's close those up. Just make sure everything's nice and tidy. We can see we've got a collection here. Oh, it's actually my human. So I'll put a human reference, just so we know what that one is. And there we go. Everything now is nice and tidy. And now I can just move these over to where these actually are over here. So let's move them over here, like so, and let's move the necklace. In fact, what we'll do is, because there could be a chance that we actually take a beautiful render of everything, or you might want to do that. So I'm just positioning them in a little bit of better place so you can actually see them. And when you move them all together now, you'll still be able to see them. So double tap the A, and we'll just move these out a little bit as well, like so. And I'm also thinking, is that, yeah, it's gemstone yellow. Okay. All right. So one last check on it on our renders. Double tap the A, and there we go. Really, really nice. All right. So let's come up and put this back onto object mode. Let's come now and save out our files. And also just make sure that everything's packed still. So make sure that it should stay packed anyway. So thanks a lot, and I hope you're really enjoying it. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.